Hey Luke, what should a man do after heartbreak? Always evaluating the why. So every man has to look deep inside himself and understand why that heartbreak happened. If you're too attached, if you have issues with your mother, if you've got all these different psychological holes or anything like that, you can analyze these over time and go through it. It takes a long time. But relationships are built on lots of different factors. So if you're heartbroken because she left you, which is normally what the question is, people are normally heartbroken from losing something they didn't want to lose. So it was not normally their decision. You know, I mean, sometimes you make the decision and you regret it, but normally if you're the one that breaks it off, you can get it back if you want to. But if they break it off, I would always say the same thing. I come from the mentality of a 100% ownership situation. So you are 100% down. It's 100% down to you. You're 100% responsible for everything that happens to you. So when it comes to a relationship, this is where I think the dynamic is always very interesting. Most of the guys that follow me or that talk to me or whatever, or go through the rhetoric that I do, they want to be the leader of the relationships. They want to lead relationships. They want to be the man. They want people to respect them. They want all of these accolades, but they're not willing to do any of the work for it. And then when things fall apart or go negative, like she breaks up with you or breaks your heart or you become heartbroken, they don't want to take any of the responsibility. And they start blaming her, saying she was a bad egg, she had a bad relationship with her father, she was whatever. All women are trash now, all this absolute garbage, rather than looking at themselves and thinking, maybe I wasn't good enough for her. Maybe I did things wrong. Maybe I did that's normally what I would say. So I'd say, look back at the relationship, understand why it went wrong, which is the hard part and the heartbreaking part and the depressing part. And once you've done that and you've gone through that a few times probably, you start to understand about setting boundaries and having standards and having frame and all these other things that all these buzzwords that you hear people talk about, all comes down to experience. How does it feel that you and the Tates fell off? Yeah, we fell off, sure, bro. I'm sure that's happened. I feel like life is like this, right? Life doesn't go like this in straight lines. Things happen in all walks of life. And if you believe there's such thing as falling off, then you were never really a fan in the first place, because that's not how it works. But people are characters and they develop constantly, always changing, always overcoming challenges. And Tate is dealing with some of the biggest challenges in the world. So you could say that he's fallen off. That could be your opinion, but I strongly disagree, and I think he's in the best place he's ever been. So myself included, life's going to be good. The next 10 years are going to be the best years of our lives. Is that how you met Tate, through fighting? Me and Andrew actually fought each other. That's how we met. Back in the day in Southend in a sports hall at UWC, Ultimate Warrior Challenge. We did a podcast about it on his podcast. What's it called, his podcast? Emergency meeting. We did an emergency meeting about it. I think it's like to fighters or honor or something like that. And it's just Luke versus Andrew. It's on YouTube somewhere. We watched the fight back 20 years later or 15 years later, and we talk it through. So if you really want to watch it, you can go back and watch it somehow. How did I start fighting? By accident, really. I went to the same event, UWC, Ultimate Warrior Challenge in Southend. I'm from Essex, from Chelmsford. I grew up in London, but then moved to Chelmsford. There's an event called UWC. A friend of mine called Fabio Ferrari, and yes, that's his real name. He had a fight against a guy called Matteo Peran, who was an Italian fighter in Southend, and I went along as a fan, and I went and watched him, and I just thought this was epic. And then I started training with a friend of mine called Jack Mason. So I started training with Jack because I was an arrogant, tall dickhead, and I thought I could beat Jack up. And I said to Jack, let's have a fight. I can't, whatever. He was in my head short. He's 5'10", I think, or 11. He's probably 5'10", but he probably says 11. And I challenged him to a fight. He said, "Oh, come down to the gym and we can fight in the gym," because he'd had like 20 professional MMA fights. No one knew what MMA was back then, so I was like, yeah, whatever. And we went down the gym. And there was a kid called Robbie Olivier, who's, I think, 5'5", used to fight at featherweight, which is Conor McGregor's weight, 66 kilos. And this guy battered me and embarrassed me and made me look like a fool. So I challenged Jack, a big man, to a fight. I fought a very small man. He beat me up. And Jack was like, basically, you're not even worth my time. And I remember on the drive home, I just sunk into my chair, super embarrassed. And I was like, I cannot walk around this planet knowing that there's a 5'5", 60, 70 kilo man that could just manhandle me the way that just happened. So I started training. I became obsessed with training, and then I started fighting from the Tsunami gym in Cambridge. I lived in my gym, slept on the floor for 2 years, and just train. And yeah, eventually it all started coming together. It took me a long time, to be honest. It took me a lot of work, and it was horrible, but we got there in the end. Do I like Romania? I was just there in Bucharest, and there's some things that I love about Romania. Like, I think it's unbelievable, and there's some things I don't like about it, obviously, like the government putting my friends in jail. Not a huge fan of that. But when it comes to, depends where you're from in the world. Like, if you're from the UK like me, the vibe of the place has kind of died now in the UK. The pub culture, the kind of it's just so expensive now in the UK to go out and have a drink, to go out for dinner. It's just not you go to certain places in London and everything else, sure, but I'm talking about small little towns or whatever. So in Bucharest, from day till night, everywhere's packed. You go out anytime, any day, summer, winter, whatever, everyone's out. So it's a very like vibey place. Top 5 books to read. The ones that I like are the classics, but I read them 20 years ago, and I'm getting much more back into my reading now. But How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably number 1 book for me. Just the ideology of it. It kind of feels like black magic when you're reading it, and like it should be illegal, and like you're learning some dirty tricks. But if you use them with good intention, they're extremely valuable, and I think that's everyone should keep that in mind when they read those things. It's kind of like when you read The Game by Neil Strauss, if anyone knows that book. It's super popular when I was growing up. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a classic, and that story really inspired me as a young entrepreneur. The story of the toothpaste, the guy going around selling the toothpaste, and collecting them and melting it down, and the way he did it, and just the whole Rich Dad Poor Dad mentality. I was very, very fortunate. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he had the right mentality to an extent, but it made me want to look outside of my family and find other influences about money. So I would say those 2 books. I'm going to maybe a controversial one, but I would say the Bible. I think reading the Bible is a super valuable thing you can do. There's all these explosive discussions about religion, and so many people have never read the Bible, or they've only read the Bible through a church or through a pastor telling them, reading it to them, rather than just reading it themselves. And I think there's so many it's like the ultimate self-help book. That's what the Bible is, if you look into it properly. There was a book that I read forever ago, which was Paulo Coelho, and I cannot remember the name of it, but it's basically about following your own path in life. The Alchemist is what it was called. So let's put that one in there, and then let's put a new one in there that I'm reading. I got 2. I'm reading something called Pimp by Iceberg Slim, or Iceberg something Slim, which is a good book about female psychology, which is super, super interesting. The name is obviously quite provocative, but it's a very, very good book. And then I'm reading a book called Wisdom Takes Work. What advice would you have for an 18-year-old wanting to succeed in life? The 3 things that men want in life that you call success, it's like I just said, money, women, and health. They're the 3 most. The health is the most important. Money's probably the second most important, but people would say women and relationships first, and then women and relationships. So a lot of people, what they do is they focus on that when you're young, you don't appreciate the situation that you have, the health that you have, and the life that you have, and how lucky you are. And you focus so much on women normally, and then maybe money secondary. I would flip that, and I would make health the number 1 thing at a young age. Get strong, learn how your body works, learn about nutrition, learn how to go to the gym, learn how to fight, push yourself physically, because the other 2 you can do forever. How did you make money to be rich like you? Many ways, from trying everything you could possibly believe. Started with fighting, invested in crypto, then went from crypto into business, and crypto now is a much harder thing to do, but 8-9 years ago it was kind of like I had great advice and great people and great guidance. I invested time and energy into mentors and programs to try and learn things, and I just have this hard head that has come from fighting, and this understanding that I need to develop, get better. So I just kept pushing myself every single day and learning something new every single day and trying to become better every single day. And that's still what I'm doing now. So I haven't reached anywhere near the ceiling that I need. But the main factor that I would say has helped me with wealth is surrounding myself with people that have given me knowledge. BJJ or boxing? Simple answer, boxing. BJJ is gay. BJJ is fantastic as a sport, but it is not a combat thing. Do you trade gold yourself or copy trade? I do both. That's what the Vault is. It's a copy trading system where you can get part of an ecosystem that's one of my business partners that he's been running successfully for 7 years. There's an 87 to 91% success rate on the trades. There's 5 to 10 trades every single day, and people who join the vault, we've got loads of people that have turned $500 into $10,000 or 10,000 pounds, whatever you want to call it, by doing the copy trading system. I did both. I learned how to trade through the real world. I traded a little bit in the crypto space, a little bit in the gold space, did all that. Then I started copy trading from this system, and both have worked out for me. But I have quite a vast knowledge. I've been doing it for a long time. Do you have plans to come to Canada? I've been to Canada. Where did I go? The capital of Canada, and I can't remember the name of it now. Ottawa. Been to Ottawa a couple of times. I want to go to Toronto. Don't know why, but I want to go. I have no plans to go to Canada. I'm going to New York in a couple of weeks. I know it's pretty close. Maybe I'll come. Biggest takeaway from time in tough. There was millions, but the first thing that come to my mind, there's two. I'll give you two takeaways from tough. And they're both, one's more of a fighting thing, and then the other is more of a life lesson. So on the Ultimate Fighter, so people that don't understand it, it's basically 14 fighters go into a house, and you're split into 2 teams of 7, and you compete against each other to find out who is the Ultimate Fighter. And each team has a coach. Mine was Chael Sonnen, but the opposing coach was a guy called John Jones. Now, there was a kid on the show who became, not on the show, we hated each other, but afterwards we became good friends, a guy called Josh Saman. Now, he said something to me that really shook up my mentality and my reality, to be honest. And when I say about learning from life, this is what I'm trying to say. When people give you information, you need to take it on board, and you need to put it internally inside yourself and utilize it. And I definitely did in this instance. I was super happy to be on Chael's team because he was like an idol of mine. And Josh had zero respect for Chael and zero respect for John Jones and zero respect for any of us. He was all about himself, which sounds like a dickhead. And he was a bit of a dickhead, like me, cocky dickhead. But his whole mentality was, I'm going to be fighting these people one day. Then talking about John Jones and Chael Sonnen, the best in the world. I'm going to be fighting these people one day. I don't want to be their friends. They're going to be my competition. You know, whereas I would put them on a pedestal a little bit, and I had a different mentality than he did. And I took that away, like never put anyone on a pedestal, never think anyone's better than you. You want to be competing with those people. So in any line of what life, like business, work, whatever, you never want to put people on a pedestal. You always want to, you want to think that as you're their competition, and in the near future you will be. And Josh went into UFC, was doing incredibly well. He knocked out a guy, I can't remember his name, I'm going to say Eddie Gordon, with this amazing head kick. He was on a tear. He came to Italy with me, and we had a great time. We went to Venator back in the day. He cornered me when I won my world title. And then, unfortunately, he went out and partied and took something and ended up dying from an overdose at very, very young age. So rest in peace to Josh. Great guy, great mentality, and I'll always remember that from him. And the other one comes from Dana. So I was very fortunate to spend time with Dana White on the show. He would be there a lot, and we would talk quite a lot. He's a super nice guy to be able to talk to him. And that was what I realized. I realized it's about Dana, about Chael, about Andrew, about all these high level guys. They understand the world, and they understand relationships, and they understand that anyone can change their station in life. So you remember Dana White was a busboy at a hotel, and now he's a billionaire. Andrew lived in Luton on a council estate, now he's a billionaire. Chael comes from an okay family, don't get me wrong, but went through the UFC, and now he's multi-millionaire. You know, one of the most famous people in the world. It's like, these people, when you talk to them, and for some reason, I still have relationships with all these people, and I talk to them, and I think it's because of me, because I'm special. Oh, these guys must like me. But then I realize it's nothing to do with me. They keep in contact with me because that's good business. Being very, very nice and friendly and keeping in contact and giving people your contact and giving people your time and always responding is good business. It's good practice. It's good manners. Have you read the Quran or considered reading it? I've read parts of the Quran, and I've read books about the Quran. I wouldn't have read the Quran. I would read it. I probably will read it when I get round to it. Life is long. I've got lots of time. I'm not a religious person. I believe in the scriptures. I even said to read the Bible earlier. I believe in the lessons of religion. I believe in God, I'm holy, whatever you want to call it, but I don't believe in being indoctrinated by a organization. What should I learn more? I know AI automation, copywriting, and go to the gym regularly at 18. Doing great, bro. Think about consistency. Learn a word called temperance. Understand what integrity is. Look about virtue and understanding the 4 parts of virtue as a man. Being virtuous, being honorable. How is the life in Marbs? For me, it's perfect. I think there's nowhere better on the planet for me. Everyone has different individualities. Marbella is quite a small place, but because I travel ungodly amount and I'm always away, when I come here, it just calms me down. And I feel, I love the sea. I lived in California for a couple of years, in San Diego, and being on the water. I lived on a yacht for about a year and woke up every morning and drank coffee over the water. And that's that calming sense of the water. It's like a part of me. So being close to the water is important to me. Sun is important to me. Mountains are important to me. And luxury lifestyle I like as well. How do you promote, maintain content viewership? Is it consistency, staying consistent with a niche? Good question for my team. I have a full team that do it all for me. I would be honest, my consistency to do with content has been trash for so long. And I believe that's probably the biggest point. I'm trying to do these every week. My life is very, very hectic, so I'm trying to build up this rapport with you guys. But yeah, I would imagine it's all the things that you listed. And I think it's just, I can just do this. I can literally turn on the microphone and talk. That's the skill that I have because I have life experience. There's so many streamers out there and people out there that are fucking shit with their lives. And they try and give you advice. What do they know? They've done nothing. At least I'm honest. And I'm like, I've done this, I've done that. This went bad, this went good. You know, there's a lot of people out there are just lying to you. So I think having something, you know, that's the X factor. That's the thing that keeps people hooked. What's your views on forex trading? This is so popular right now. And again, I run the Vault and I run a gold trading copying system. My views on forex trading is the world is getting harder and harder and harder and harder and harder and harder to make money. And people are looking for more ways to make money. And that is why forex has become so big. Because it's so hard to make money now because of taxes and because of everything else they're doing to businesses. They're destroying businesses. We live in financial capitalism. We live in an institution now where you make money from money. So if you have £500 spare and you don't waste it at the weekend going out boozing or going to nice restaurants, investing it in trading, any type of trading, forex, crypto, whatever, and learning that skill or doing a copy trading thing, I think my opinion on forex trading is it's not for the weak-hearted. It's not for the safe people. It's not for the people that are going to cry if they lose £200. It's for the people that want to take the risk to climb the mountain. Would you do a seminar in Jordan Barton's gym, Apex Combat and Conditioning? 100%. Love Jordan. Apex is a great facility. Jordan's an amazing guy. I was at his show last weekend or the weekend before. I went to see a guy called Callum Connor who won in the main event. He's now 8-0. I was in Manchester for the weekend for Easter. And yeah, the Apex, sick place. I don't know exactly where it is. But yeah, I would do anything for Jordan. Jordan's an amazing guy. What was the favorite fight in my career? Between two. Every fight is a different story. My favorite fight, I'm going to go with my UFC debut. Maybe the fight to get onto the Ultimate Fighter. But I'd say my UFC debut. My UFC debut was the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. I was sleeping on the floor for 2.5 years leading up to this fight in Cambridge, in my gym, training every day like a madman. I got on the Ultimate Fighter. I got the opportunity to fight in the UFC. It fell on April 13th. I was 25, so it's going to be 13 years ago. Do the maths, Luke. 2008. No, that's wrong. Anyway, so yeah, I fought on my birthday, my 25th birthday in Las Vegas. It was my birthday when I fought, April 13th. I won. I trained for 6 months leading up to that fight with Chael. He was in my corner. And I'd gone from sleeping on the floor to getting handed 3 checks. The checks were for my fight, winning my fight, and winning a bonus for the best fight of the season on the Ultimate Fighter 17. The checks were 25 grand, 8 grand, and 8 grand because my first UFC fight I only made 16 grand, but it was 13 years ago. Went a little bit further than it does now, but it's still not a lot of money. But still, for me, that was an obscene amount of money to get all in one day. Nothing compared to now, but then it was like, blew my mind. I'd gone from sleeping on the floor, living on £100 a week, to getting 3 checks in one day. You know, fulfilled my lifelong dream of being in the UFC. So that would be number one. I got a second one now because I just remembered. My second best weekend of my life, me versus Karol Zielinski in Australia. It's when I met Carl Prince, who then became my coach, who's now one of my closest friends. And he cornered me for that fight. I lost that fight. Split decision. I then fought a couple of fights and worked my way back to a rematch with this guy. and I was offered the rematch, and the rematch was offered to me on I think it was 8th of June, and I took it. But it was the same weekend that my first daughter was due to be born. Still took it, still went, had my fight, had to do it. I lost a split decision. I fought Karol Zielinski in Poland, in his back town, in a place called Łódź. And I went out there and I knocked him out in 1 minute and 21 seconds and got my revenge for all of the hardship and all of the strife and all of the hard work that I put into that fight and the emotional trauma that I went through, up and downs and everything else, and injuries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Knocked him out. Then from there, flew home, drove to the hospital directly. My wife at the time was in labor, and a few hours later, my baby was in my hands. So knockout, not first round knockout against a rival that I hated, and holding my baby in the same 24 hours. You need to be able to find a man who can do both. That's what they say. Be that violent and then hold on to the baby. But that was a good weekend too. Any advice for someone who wants to get married? I don't think I'm the right person to talk to about that. I'm going to be honest. Was married for 13 years. I'm just going through divorce now. Depends on age. Depends on situation. Marriage is a fantastic thing, and I still love my ex-wife very, very much. She was a great person, great part of my life, great chapter. I just not sure that a life is long. That's all I'll say about that. I'm going to move on very quickly because I'm going to say something that I'm going to regret. But life is long, and I do not think any man should be in a committed long-term relationship like marriage until they know who they are themselves. I always put the age around 35. But that doesn't mean it is 35. You could be 25 and you could know yourself. But it's very, very hard. You have to really know who you are, because life is going to do this. It's not going to be like this. And yeah, you need to know that the person sitting next to you or being next to you is understands who you really are as well. And the main part of that is honesty. Trying to be honest with your partner and talk to them properly with no bullshit. I'd never see it. No one does that. To be completely honest with another person, completely. So if you can be completely 100% and tell her every single thought in your head, go for it, bro. But I don't think you can, and I'm not sure that's the healthiest way to live a relationship either, but up to you. How do you know if you're ready for your first fight? You're never ready, bro. It's like having a wife or a girlfriend or a baby or whatever, any big step in your life. You're never ready. You're never going to be completely ready. You're always going to have doubt in your mind. You just got to do it. You could do it after 3 weeks training, have a fight. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. I had my first fight after 6 months training back in the day. Didn't know who the opponent was. There was no YouTube. There was no Instagram. There was no photos. I just showed up in a room. You're fighting this guy. Okay, fight. I won. I got my jaw broken in the first round, but somehow I won in the second round. It's an experience. It's something you have to go through. You just get on with it, bro. So if you're asking that question, just do it. How good am I at chess? Not very, bro. I got this chessboard here, this AI chessboard that's super fancy. I'm useless. I think I'm... ELO or whatever they call it on chess.com is like 980, something like that. I'm getting there. Did I feel any fear when I was fighting? Of course, everyone feels fear. I would say as you continue, I had 53 fights. Probably the first 20, I shit my pants. And then 10, I was scared. And then the final 20, I kind of didn't care. I saw so much combat. Because one of the bits of advice I give to new fighters is to go to as many fight shows as you possibly can. There's one every weekend in the UK of all levels. Corner your mates, help them warm up. If you can, be a doorman or be a barman at events, to be more events. Walk that walk as many times as you can. So if you're going to be like the fighting walk at the out, like I said, if you can corner, even if you can't corner, but they'll let you walk to the cage and then go sit in your seats. It gives you that experience. Why do you think the majority of men have mental health issues? It's going to be a controversial one. I'm going to say because of the internet. I'm going to say because of the internet and probably because of diet is another thing, but I'm going to blame the internet. People are following retards. Retards are following retards. The blind are literally leading the blind because getting clicks makes you money. So people are giving you advice that don't even know what their advice is because they haven't lived a life. And people are becoming more and more mentally retarded. I actually believe, now I talked about this a little bit, but I've really thought about it quite a lot since this whole looks maxing craze. I actually think is mental retardation. I think it is a mental issue. I think the fact that you even care about that is like, we're so far gone. And that only comes from kids listening to kids, and having no true figures in their life, no father figure, no one they look up to, no coach, no sensei, no brotherhood, all these things, and then following the internet. There's so many fucking losers on the internet, trust me, that if you meet in real life, you just think, what? I've met a lot of them. A lot of the guys that are famous, way more famous than me. Or I'm not famous, I don't consider myself famous on the internet at all. I'm just giving it a go. But they have nothing else to talk about apart from their little podcast or their little thing that they do, because they do not live life. Again, going back to the wisdom takes work quote and the thing about Monet, learn from life. Go out there and live your life, and from your life get insights that you wouldn't otherwise have. Appreciate everyone watching. I went on a few rants today. Hopefully it was useful. Again, the whole idea of me doing these lives is for you guys to understand me a little bit more, and then hopefully some of the insights can help you. I have the upgrade. If you want to be mentored and you want to spend time, you want to actually ask me questions back and forth and talk to me, I do that inside of the upgrade. It's a school platform. I have a course in there that will teach you about yourself and push yourself to become the best version of yourself and just keep growing as an individual, as we're all trying to continually do. But wish everyone the best. Have a great week. And I'm next week, I'm away. The following week, I'll be back live every Wednesday, 8 o'clock.